What's up, everybody? Ben with the BTC Sessions here, and this is your daily session.
Hodl that Bitcoin.
Before we dive into the news, just a quick reminder, please do check out my website, btcsessions.ca. There you can reach out to me and book your own BTC session. We can chat Bitcoin, learn about setting up wallets, proper security, really anything you like. There's a simple form at the bottom of the page you can fill out and contact me there. Also, do hit up my Teespring link. You've got the hashtag Bitcoin Twitter shirt. You've got some swag with my face on it. So if you want any of that, hit up the link down below in the video description. Now, we are going to dive in to the news. And the Bitcoin price has been pumping the last couple of days here. We've been exploring the $4,000 range. So we've actually just recently passed the 100-day moving average for the first time in 272 days. So that takes us back to May 22nd of 2018 was the last time we were here. Not price-wise, but in regards to the 100-day moving average. Now, we do need to make higher highs to confirm a potential bull market incoming, but volume has been growing, and we have passed through some resistance lately. So what's up next if this trend continues? Well, we could be eyeing that kind of 5K psychological level, but who knows? I still am of the opinion that Bitcoin will probably have a relatively boring year, at least till maybe closer to the end of the year. And then next year we might see some exciting stuff happening, at least a little bit anyways. But what I thought would be fun is let's take a look at what some of the media is saying are possible reasons for this pump. Let's see how accurate they might be. So here is The Independent. It appears that they believe cryptocurrencies are shooting up because JP Morgan has launched a banker-backed shitcoin stablecoin. Because nothing makes me want to buy more Satoshis like JP Morgan coin for some reason, even though it's not available to the public and it's only institutional investors and clients of theirs. So yay, try harder. Let's see, what else? Cointelegraph seems to think that Bitcoin is testing 4K because of anticipation of US and China trade deal finalization. I know all the Bitcoiners are super stoked about China trade deals. Oh, God. Okay, next. Wouldn't you know it, The Independent again. This time, Bitcoin price breaks above 4,000 amid Samsung Galaxy S10 cryptocurrency wallet rumors. So Samsung wants to have a wallet built into their phone, and so markets pump because there's a new wallet. Oh, that's so dumb. Wait, Bernie Sanders is running for president in 2020. Mother of God. Anyways, let's move on here. So this is another story. This one's an interesting one. So Bitpay, the CEO Stephen Pair, was in a recent panel, and he mentioned that 95% of their business is strictly Bitcoin. That's where their revenue is coming from. That's what their users are indeed using. So this is interesting because of their push for alternatives early on. So Stop and Decrypt on Twitter here, he did put together a couple of the quotes here. He said, or Stephen Pair rather said, "We try to look at it from market demand and technology perspective. During the ABC and SV split, both sides asked us, but we run Bitcoin ABC, which is Bitcoin Cash on CoinMarketCap, and that's not changing. But 95% of our payments are done with Bitcoin." And this is in reference to what altcoins they want to support and what they plan on doing. So this is interesting because they were really pushing for alternatives to Bitcoin early on. This is from a couple years ago. I don't see this as a question of forcing a minority to do something they don't want to do. It's more allowing people of the option, or allowing people the option to go off on a fork. At BitPay, the Bitcoin blockchain has stopped working for us. And this other quote here, he went on to say later in that same interview from a couple years ago, we have a couple of options. One is we start using a fork of Bitcoin. The second option is we start using a fork of Bitcoin. And the third option is we start using a fork of Bitcoin, which is hilarious that years later still 95% of their payments are in Bitcoin. So I find this interesting because this is a case of a company and their business model is not working with the industry that they're trying to fit themselves into. And so their solution is to try and change Bitcoin to fit their business model. And when that fails, they try to use an alternative to Bitcoin to fit their business model. And the market said no. The market said, we don't want your alternative. We're using Bitcoin, and this is what we're going to do. And it shows 95% again of their business is Bitcoin. And I believe that they lost a lot of goodwill from the community in doing such, in trying to force this down other people's throats. You saw things like BTC Pay server from Nicolas Dorier pop up. You see other options. You see the company I work for, Francis Pouliot, putting together Cipher with his team and trying to create those alternatives so you don't need to rely on BitPay anymore. So I really think they shot themselves in the foot. And even still, you see other companies with similar numbers where they're saying Bitcoin is the majority of everything we do, regardless of what we offer as alternatives. Recently, you had John Carvalho from BitRefill saying the majority of their transactional volume in selling top-ups for people's phones and gift cards and things like that is all Bitcoin. But even in adding Lightning Network for Bitcoin, the payments just on Lightning Network in its early stages are doubling any of their altcoins that they've offered to accept payments for. So it just goes to show that outside of the realm of speculation on exchanges, the actual usage is happening on Bitcoin. So food for thought. Let's move on here. In the least surprising news ever, Craig Wright continues not to shut up. But it's funny, so we're going to take a look at it. So this goes back to December 2018, so just a few months ago. The CFTC asked for input from the public in relation to Ethereum versus Bitcoin, trying to better understand the differences between them. So Craig Wright recently submitted a response to this question, and it is rambling nonsense. He goes on for quite some time. In fact, he doesn't even touch on Ethereum for pages and pages into the thing, and he spends the majority of his time just bolstering himself up, again trying to reiterate that he created Bitcoin, which obviously he did not. There's been so much debunking of everything he said, but he goes on to mention that he worked on something called Blacknet in 1997, which was to do with private cryptocurrency or private digital cash, privacy focused. Well, it turns out he did not work on that. It was somebody by the name of Tim May. So good effort, but fail. Further, I mean, just recently, and I touched on this in another video, but WikiLeaks called him out recently, saying that he's been a fraud, and he's been proven that to be such multiple times. They refer to a blog post that he made in 2008, and he went on to later change it sometime between 2014 and 2015. So in the original post, 2008, there's a footnote on what he was going to be working on in the near future, and it had no reference to cryptocurrency whatsoever. In 2014, 2015, when you go through historical records, you can see that at some point in that range, that year-long range, it was changed to add in, oh, I'm working on something that is cryptocurrency related. So he wanted to make it look like he was working on crypto back in 2008. So again, good effort, but no. And finally, he also forged a research paper that he said was from 2001. And this research paper was essentially the Bitcoin white paper. What he thought was the original earliest copy of the Bitcoin white paper. And he said, hey, this is from 2001. Look, this was my original paper that I wrote. The problem was he pulled from the October 2008 version of the Satoshi white paper. Problem being is there's an actual earlier version from August 2008, and the October version contained amendments, little changes to the white paper to kind of update it. Well, his 2001 paper include those changes that were made between August and October of 2008. So unless he wrote the paper in 2001, then released it in August 2008 with some changes, and then changed those back to the original version a few months later, he's lying. So good effort, Craig, but what can I say? You're always a source of great entertainment. You are the butt of the cryptocurrency world's jokes. So thanks. Guys, before I finish here, I want to show you one other thing that I have had fun playing around with this past week. This is Tippin.me, and it's essentially a plugin that allows you to do Lightning Network tips via Twitter. Really, really cool. This is their Twitter account here, Tippin_me. But this is the website, and I'm just going to show you really quick. Essentially, you got two options, join now or log in. And all it does is if you're logged in via your browser, you hit sign up with Twitter. It asks for your permissions to coincide with your Twitter feed. Of course, I'm already signed up, so I can just hit log in with Twitter, and it's just going to ask me for that authorization once more. And it will redirect me back to the app. And essentially, now I've already sent some Satoshis out so that I could kind of tip other people. But essentially, you have this kind of dashboard here where you can see your balance. You can see all transactions incoming and outgoing. You have a cash out button so you can send out to yourself elsewhere. You have an official tipping page where anybody can scan this and send you a Lightning payment. You also have a web button where you can copy this and paste it in on a website if you're running one, and you'll get this little button that looks like this that people can click on, and again you have your payment request, and that's pretty much it. You can also install this Chrome extension into your browser. They also have it for Firefox, and what this does is it updates your Twitter feed to include this little button down here. So you can see there's a little lightning icon at the bottom of every tweet on Twitter. And so if somebody is a person that already has installed Tippin or uses Tippin, then when you click on this, you can tip them directly, and you get this pop-up that says, oh, here you can go ahead and you can pay. Now, also on top of this, if the person does not have Tippin, here's what happens. I'll just show you really quick. I'll go to my home screen here. By the way, if you're not following me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter at BTC Sessions. Do it. So if you, let's just see. So this guy here, Alan, guy I know in town actually, he does not have a Tippin account. Would you like to ask him to join? And if you would, then you just hit OK, and that person, you can send out a tweet directly to them and ask them to join Tippin.me. But anyways, really, really cool. Also, if you're wondering what I'm tipping with, I'm just using a wallet that I've done a video on. Now, I will say this is a custodial solution, mostly because this does not yet work with my Casa node, which is something else here. We'll get into that later. I've done a video on that as well, but I'm using Wallet of Satoshi to send tips. Again, it's custodial, so I would advise you only to have a few dollars in it, if anything. But it is fun to play around with these tips, and I do believe that we'll see a push towards less trusted, not less trusted, but less trust in third parties. We'll see easier options for people to be using Lightning Network without having to deal with custodians. But for now, Wallet of Satoshi is fun to play with if you just want to dick around with a few dollars. So go ahead and do that. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Links to tippin.me and to the Chrome extension are going to be down below. Do check that out. If you think it's cool, shoot me a few sats. But I will see you guys tomorrow for your daily session.